So we're back with Austin Ekeler of the Los Angeles Chargers. And Austin, I have always, really admired your path. I want to get into your path a little bit. But there's two other things that I think are important to talk about right here this week as you go into the Thursday night game in Kansas City. The first is you have a bobblehead. I'm a huge bobblehead fan.
Oh,
And I
no
want to
way.
see your bobblehead. And I want you to tell me the origin story of it.
So I did not know that you were a bobblehead fan, but yes, I do have the bobblehead sitting here right here. Obviously, it's me playing the guitar, which is the signature move in the end zone. So the origin story actually came from about 3 years ago, where we had a company reach out to us and they're like, "Hey, we make custom bobbleheads. We've made a custom one for Austin." And it's not actually not the best story because so they're like, "Okay, let's get it made." And we get them made. They make 1,000 of them, right? And I get the first box that they're made on, and they spelled my last name wrong.
Oh my God.
I know. So yeah, so my first bobblehead experience, the bobblehead looks great though, but just the box has the last name spelled wrong. But yeah, let's see the replica.
Okay, so
that's
wait a
pretty
minute.
good.
Does this
Pretty
one
good.
have the names spelled right?
It's just on the box. So if you
Okay.
look at
Okay.
if
All
you
right.
look at it on the back, it says Austin Ekeler. It's spelled
Yeah,
correctly.
good. I like that.
Yes.
Good.
But yeah, it's pretty good. They did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I like it a lot. What about you and the guitar? What's your story?
So the guitar started when I was back in college. I was like, man, like we were jamming out. I just love rock music, all types of it, heavy metal, rock, classic rock. And so we were jamming out back in college. I was like, if I ever get to the NFL, like I hit a a guitar in the end zone. Right, let me pull it out for you. Right, so I was like, I'm just gonna like hit it because that's how I feel like a rock star would feel, like on stage, just jamming out to the guitar when everyone's going crazy for you. And so that's the origin, and I just stuck with it because it was like, I could switch up my celebration every time, but then it's like, oh, no one ever remembers that. But now, it's kind of a staple of when I get in the end zone, you're gonna expect to see that.
So, that is really interesting because I never knew. I always saw you doing this weird thing, like playing the guitar. You score a touchdown, and I say, "What in the world is that?"
Yeah,
So now we know.
That's right. I feel like just imagine like the opening song of any concert, right? And everyone, woo! Like that's what it feels like. I feel like to score a touchdown. It's like everyone's just going crazy, and you're just out there rocking.
All right. So what's the best concert of your life? What's the best show you've ever seen?
So I have not been to a lot of shows. I just recently met Alice in Chains and saw some of their show. That was a great show. And Breaking Benjamin, they were playing together. So I just recently went to that one. But yeah, I have not been to many shows. So.
Why have you not been to many shows?
I just don't think I grew up around that. And so I guess it hasn't been a priority for myself. I think growing up out there in the ranch out in Colorado was more towards just focusing on what we had at the moment, and didn't really get those luxuries for going to shows or skiing and enjoying the mountains or anything.
What was the music you listened to as a kid, like in high school?
Ooh,
What was your music?
So back then it was usually country or like some type of like hip hop, as that was starting to become popular now. So it's like hip hop and country back in the day. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So Austin, one of the things that is so interesting to me about the NFL is the sort of trials you guys have to go through sometimes. And you're in the middle of one right now. You are going to get on a plane. We're recording this on Tuesday night. And you're going to get on a plane on Wednesday midday and fly halfway across the country to Kansas City and play a game on very, very short rest. So I thought that it would be interesting for people to hear exactly what that is like. And so I want to go through your week and just ask you what a week like this is like. You have a very emotional win on Sunday against the Raiders at home. And when you walk off the field after that game, tell me what hurts and what do you feel like, man, I really am going to need to get some treatment for the game on Thursday, so I'm going to be feeling pretty good. Anything hurt?
Oh yeah, the body definitely hurts, but I kind of want to go back on what you were saying as the trial, because I feel like that can relate to so many people, right? We all have different, hardships that we have to go through our life. And for us in the NFL season, injury, just trying to stay healthy through the whole thing is an entire trial, but even more so on the Thursday night game, like you're saying, right? Because as of now, I'm sitting here like my shoulders are still sore, right? Today's usually our day off, but it's not. If I don't know when people are watching this, but we're on Tuesday here, right? It's usually our day off. And so my shoulders are still sore. Like my hip is still sore. My quads are still sore from getting hit. And so usually it takes 3 to 4 days, which on the 4th day after we play is when we're going back out there. But it usually takes 3 to 4 days to actually heal up, and I can get a good lift and I can feel like, okay, I'm ready to play again. And then we have a little bit more time after that. And so what happens is, right as soon as the game ends, after the game, immediately we bring all of our dry needling, all of our massage, use all of a cold tub, hot tub trainers. We're already starting treatment immediately when the game ends. We broke it down. Coach passed out some game balls in the locker room. It was like, all right, straight to treatment, because we're trying to get a jump start. But one thing that we can't, obviously make up is the time that it takes. So that's why I'll go into this game with my shoulders still being sore and my hips still being sore. And so that's one of the things that, we have to deal with as NFL players, was the Thursday night game. But we understand what it brings to the dynamic of the sport, of having that one solo game as far as revenue and the business side, but definitely harder on the body.
Okay, so when you say you did all that stuff, tell me, what exactly did you do on Sunday night?
Right. So Sunday night, we break it down, and then I'm immediately, I don't know how detailed, I'm getting in the shower and then I'm going straight to the recovery room. And so I'll go put these Normatec.
Is that in the stadium?
Yeah, in the stadium. We brought it all with us. So I got these big old inflatable things on my legs that like squeeze my legs and have my feet like elevated.
Compression pants. Yeah.
Yeah. They're called the Normatecs. And they're squeezing blood out of my legs, right? And so I can get new flush in there. It's similar to like what happens during a workout. It's just blood moving around, just trying to keep down inflammation, and then let new blood come in there with new nutrients and things like that. And then also jumping in the ice bath as well, to continue to just keep this blood circulating. Really just trying to get, reshock the body as far as okay, we're not trying to swell up right now. We're trying to stay maintained so that we can play here and again. It actually came out of the game pretty good. It's week 1, so that I think helped as well. We're not as banged up, down the road. So coming out of week 1, feeling good after the first game. I hope so, because we got a long season. And then Normatec hot cold tub, and then it's called the night for me.
So the game would have ended at about 4:30 Pacific time. You get the shower, you do all that stuff. It's whatever, 5:15. How late were you at the stadium on Sunday?
Ooh, I think we left at 6:30. So nothing crazy late. I had an interview at 7:30, and I think just got home just in time for that. Because we don't actually stay up in LA. We're down south, right? So we have about an hour drive after the game. So yeah, got home about 6:30.
And so what did you feel like when you woke up on Monday morning?
So yeah, Monday morning, wake up. It's kind of like the day after is always, I feel like, the day that you feel the worst. After the game, you still have a little bit of adrenaline, you still can get around a little bit, but it's the day after where you start to see, and you'll see the guys coming in, they got the limp going. And I'll come in. Yeah, that's why I said I started to feel my shoulders. I was like, dang, I didn't know my shoulders were this sore after the game. But I mean, that's the first time I've worn the shoulder pads for that long, and obviously getting hit in real life, football also plays a toll on that. So my shoulders, and then like I said, my hip. It's the hip. My hip didn't hurt after the game until I got home, and then it starts stiffing up on me. And then the next morning you wake up, it's like, okay, yeah, that's definitely sore. And then so we go through a little routine of rolling out and all these yoga moves and stuff like that, trying to just make sure we're not getting too stiff, in our training room.
And you guys as a team, you don't really practice at all this week, right? You just do walkthroughs, right?
Yeah. So we still consider it a practice, because it's more mental, but it's just less physical. So we're still absolutely locked in, making sure we're focused on our technique and fundamentals, and being in the right spot, and communicating all that. It's just, taking the actual physicals part out of it. Because usually on Tuesdays, right, is our off day. And so now we don't have that. So we're straight into it.
I just, I'm curious. And I remember I asked Justin Herbert this in camp. I said, man, you've got two of your biggest games of the year right off the bat, because this division is basically one of the toughest divisions ever. And you've got to play a rival that you had these mega games with last year in the Raiders. And then you've got to play probably the best team in the last 5 years in the AFC on the road in a very, very short week. And I wonder, I might say, this all seems unfair. It's great for it's great for everybody is really excited that there's going to be a big game. Two of the best teams in the AFC playing on Thursday night. Everybody's really excited. As a player, what do you say?
I mean, I'm also excited for those exact reasons that you said, because the stage is so big that's such a great opportunity for us to go out there and compete. We play for a lot of reasons, but when you can add those things that you're talking about, it adds more on to why we're playing, right? It adds more on to the actual, meaning of that game for us. So we feel that. We definitely feel that as players, and it's a great stage for us to go out and show what we can do. And if you can capitalize, it's going to bring more opportunities for you as far as all the things off the field and, across the league when everyone's at home watching the game. So that's what I love about Thursday night and all the primetime games.
Okay. So, when you wake up on Thursday morning at your hotel in Kansas City, will you feel a little like limited, sore, in pain? Or do you think during the day, the adrenaline will sort of overcome that? Or what percent of Austin Ekeler will we see on Thursday night?
You'll see 100% of what I got left, which, I'll definitely have some sore spots, see what's going on with this hip. It's just right on the bone. So that'll probably still be sore. That might even still be sore for a whole week. This is a violent game we play. But yeah, I would say it's pretty close to 100% because we're still week 2, right? This is week 2. We just started. So this is the first time I've gotten hit since last, time we played the Raiders in January, so my body's still really fresh. So yeah, you'll definitely get 100%. Like, I don't think that first game, it really affected me that much.
Austin, I wonder about this. I mean, I've always thought that even though it's really hard to play a game on Thursday night, there's also the benefit of having that little mini bye after it. Like Mike McCarthy once told me when he coached the Packers, he said, and I said, oh, you're playing on Thanksgiving. That's got to be rough. And he goes, honestly, he said, I would bet the majority of our players are happy because then they get 4 days off on the other side of it, and they can go do what they want. They can travel, they do it. And they normally would not get to do that. And the other part of this one that I would think if I were you, I wouldn't hate is that everybody only has one of these Thursday games, and you're getting yours in very, very early. Is there any benefit to that, do you think?
I probably got asked this like 3 or 4 times, and I'm still back and forth on it because what you're saying is completely true. The few extra days after is very nice as a player to kind of, get a reset, but it's like we just started. So we don't really need a reset yet. That's, that would be the negative of having it this early. But also, like we said, a little bit more fresh going into it. So, that could be as far as the injury. I don't know. I feel like we've seen the statistics. Injuries aren't really that much higher, if at all, on Thursday night games. So for me, I think I would still rather have it later in the season, just for that like mini bye weekend. Because it's just when we're getting beat up down the road, a lot of times we're going to need a week or 2 where it's like, dang, I wish we had like a few more days because then we could get someone back. But they might have to miss a game because they're just not ready, just on the edge and fringe of being ready. So, it is what it is. We'll take it. Amazon wanted us for their first primetime game. So we'll go give them a show.
There's something kind of cool about that too, because they really wanted you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I think having been to a lot of games over the years at Arrowhead, now you know what it's like. It's a great atmosphere for football, isn't it?
It really is.
Like
It really is. The culture over there with the Chiefs is unreal. It really is. Like the fans are so into it. They're all every game coming all out. They got their little chants they do. Like they really make it feel like, wow, this is a really special place to play. Even as an away team, right? Going in there, even the boos coming in there. Like I love that. Like that gets me so excited when I hear just the energy of a stadium come alive, especially when it's Chiefs Chargers, divisional game where it's extra loud. And I feel like we got a little extra level. We used to have Philip too, because I don't think they really liked him. So that was always fun. But yeah,
Philip Rivers was not the eminently likable guy, was he?
For opposing teams, yeah, he definitely gave a reason to heckle him for sure.
It's kind of nice. It's kind of cool because Justin Herbert is almost too nice.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Nice Guy, and
right.
Nobody hates him. I'm sure opponents don't love him, but it's hard to hate Justin Herbert.
Right. Yeah, he's not giving them a reason. He's not in their ear telling them that they're lined up wrong or telling them that they're, sorry or things that Phil used to say, but never ever swear. But just how he would trash talk all the defenders or the refs or, he's not. Justin isn't doing that type of stuff. Not yet. Maybe he'll get a little spark in him. Who knows? We'll see.
So I'll tell you my little story from training camp about Justin Herbert that he was you were playing the Cowboys. You had a couple of days of practices against the Cowboys. And so he didn't like one of the passes he threw in this one practice. And so he was going to stay after practice. And I would bet he threw 60 or 70 of the exact same throws, the exact same route. He just threw it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I asked him why afterwards, and he goes, I don't have time to get really kind of ticked off in practice. You're on to the next play. But I file away, I remember, and I always think to myself, I am not going to make that same mistake again. Mm-hmm. And that's why he does it. He seems to be like this ultimate perfectionist.
Yeah.
What's it like to play with him?
He really loves the game of football. Why he's like that? Like just in general, he really loves the game. Like I remember he was in an interview and someone asked him what he would be doing if he wasn't playing football. He said he'd be coaching football. Like he just loves football in general. So it makes sense why he's like that, right? He wants to be it, make sure he's on it. He knows that he can lead us as a team, as the quarterback, get us in the right position, and that he can physically do it himself. And so that's what I would say most about Justin is that he's coming a long way. It's definitely, I've seen a huge difference between Philip and the knowledge that Philip had and then Justin coming into year 3. And so I've seen the gaps. I'm like, yeah, Justin still has a long way to go, but physically he's getting it done. And so that mental part will continue to catch up as he gets just more and more experience around the league, playing with different guys and against different defenses. But he's on the right track. He's got the stuff that it's going to take to actually get him to that really elite level that he's really close to, but still trying to just come up, be considered the best.
What's he like in the huddle?
I mean, see, people always ask this because they don't really understand what's going on in the huddle. When we're in the huddle, like there is no small talk. It is straight business. Like we are talking like, hey, what is the play? What's the snap count? Are we trying to do something? What's the check on this call? Like it's straight like business, like nothing else. No one's like cracking jokes or anything like that. So he comes in, he's deliberate. Like he's like, hey, this is what's going on. If he has to remind somebody, hey, make sure you get over if the safety drops down. So whatever he's got to tell us, right? So that's what huddle talk is. Nothing exciting or anything like that. Just straight business.
I got 2 other topics for you. The first is that you realize, of course, that last year you were a part of the play that made America think that Brandon Staley's a total crackpot. that it's 4th and 1 at your own 18 in the third quarter against the Raiders, and he chooses to go for it. And they crowd the line. If it's possible to have 13 in a box, they did, and they just crushed you when you took the ball at the line of scrimmage. Do you remember what you were thinking when he said, go for it, and now what you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about the play. Like, I knew what play we were running. It was, we call it duo. It's up the middle. It's a it's a dirty play. You got to get in there and get your face bloody. And so, when everyone's crowded down, usually it ends up, slicing off of an edge. So I was thinking that in my mind, and sure enough, everything crashed down, but I didn't have enough time to get back outside to the edge and got absolutely crushed. But yeah, look, was it the best call? Maybe, maybe not, but we got to execute as players. And, they got the better of us there. But no, I like it because this was everything on the line. Everything on the line. We know what kind of guys we have. He has trust in us. I think he was just putting it all. I wanted to make sure that it was all out there and it's all in our hands. And that's what he did. That's what he did. He gave it to us.
Listen, what I say about that, and I'm not trying to stick up for him necessarily, but you guys were 6 of 7 on 4th down plays in that game. So for everybody who says, what an idiot for going for it, well, what about the 6 times he made it? Or you made it, excuse me.
That's right. No one's talking about those ones,
Yeah.
No, that last drive, we had like 3 or 4 on that last drive alone, or maybe 5. What a game. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game. So I always think, like, if somebody asked me about what players go through to get to the NFL, I bet I've told your story 10 times. And I've told it because there's so many aspects of it that are so cool, and it shows sometimes how tenuous a player's hold on a roster spot in the NFL is. Because, just for those who don't know, when Austin Ekeler was coming out of college football 4 years ago, he came out of a school called Western State in Colorado, which is not a football factory. And so he didn't have a really great shot, but you ended up in the Chargers camp. Anthony Lynn was the head coach. And as I found out later, the only reason that you ended up in Chargers camp is that the guy who Anthony Lynn wanted to sign ended up signing with the Eagles, because the Eagles offered him more money than the Chargers offered him, in a free agent contract. So then the next spot was yours. Okay. And I just want you to tell me and tell people who listen to this about what happened when you got signed. And I'm gonna just say one thing before that. It's that you were so intent on giving this your absolute best shot that you told your family, hey, listen, in the 5, 6, 7 weeks before that, listen, I am going all out to make this. If I don't call you back, if I don't text you back, if I disappear, don't worry about it. I'm not dead. I have to devote every moment to this quest I have to make the Chargers.
Right.
So I'll preface that. So take me into how you actually made it.
So, I saw it as this. I saw it as the biggest opportunity that I've ever been presented in my entire life. And when you know how much value the NFL, I didn't even know how much value the NFL could give to me, but I knew it was massive. I knew it was like, okay, there's money, there's legacy, there's all these things that you can do if you get into this. And so it was a massive opportunity that came to me. And I wanted to make sure at the end of the day, at the end of my tryout with the Chargers, that there was 100% nothing else that Austin Ekeler could have gave them. I was going to make sure everything in my power that I can control, which was my energy, my effort, my preparation, was going towards knowing what I'm supposed to do and try to do that at the highest level. And so that's the story where you hear, like I told my family, like, hey, like I'm going to go train. I dropped out of my last semester of school. I went back and finished after I made the team, but just like wanted to just stop everything and go into this. I was like, this is something that I can't do when I'm older. I have to do it right now. And so that was my commitment, and it still stays to this day. But now I've noticed that I'm not just like that for football. It's like that for other opportunities as well. I'm really just chasing opportunities in my life. And so it carries over, but that's where the recognition of that really started, was when I was presented that, the journey. And then, I was sixth string and really didn't get many reps. I was getting reps on scout team, special teams. And that's really where I made my impact, running down the field, flying down.
For everybody who doesn't know that, scout team, special teams is like second team special teams.
Yes.
It's not even, hey,
right.
we're going to really rely on you. You're giving the special teams unit a look as
right.
to what they're going to see in the game.
Right.
So and so that's how far down the depth chart you were.
Yeah. I wasn't on the depth chart. Coach Lynn didn't know my name. My head coach did not know my name. He literally came out and said that when I made the team. He's like, this number 3 guy came up to me, and I didn't know who he was. And so, like, that's what I was dealing with. Those were the odds that would get to bet. I didn't think about any of that. I just thought about.
But remember what you said to him when you met him one day? What did you say to him?
So it was the last day of spring training. It was actually my running back coach. I went and told him, Coach, I'm making this team. What do I got to do to make this team? And I went to Anthony Lynn after that and said, Coach, what do I have to do to make this team? I went up to him because like I said, I want to make sure everything was in it. So I went and asked him that. And he's like, okay, you got to make sure you protect the ball, protect the quarterback, and go talk to the special teams coordinator. Those are the 3 things he gave me. So what did I do? All right, I'm going to talk to Coach Stu. And then I went and had like an hour talk with him. But it was funny. I talked to my running back coach, told him the same thing. I told him that I was like, I'm going to. He kind of chuckled. He's like, all right, keep working. He said, keep working. And I was like, oh yeah, that's all I'm going to be doing. That's all I've been doing. And sure enough, Anthony Fredo, my running back coach, still to this day we stay in touch. But came back and ended up making the impact enough. And like I said, actually, I remember this very vividly. The last preseason game, I had a reporter ask me, like, do you think you made the team? I said, I don't know if I made the team, but what I do know is that there was nothing else. Like, that was everything. That was all in. If I make this team, it was made to be. If I don't, then I got to go do something else, because I couldn't have done anything else. So you make a hit at some point in training camp that made Anthony Lynn notice you? So what made him notice me, the first time he ever gave me any type of recognition, was on scout team punt. I was playing the personal protector, the guy that's like in the middle that like is yelling out the calls. And it was full speed rep, and I was blazing down the field. And like, I made my guy miss and just blazing, and then fronted up the returner. Like, we don't tackle in practice. And then it was in practice, and Coach Lynn was watching our scout team. He's like, dang, who's that? He asked our special teams coordinator is like, who's that number 3 running down? And Coach Stu's like, that's Ekeler, man. He's been giving us a hell of a look out there. He's like, okay. And so that was my first ever recognition, number 3, not even my real name. That's number 3.
Do you remember what Anthony Lynn told you when you actually made the team?
That was like one of the first things he said. He was like, because it was a team meeting. He's like, I didn't even know who this number 3 guy was, but he made an impact. Now he's on the team. Austin Ekeler, they give me a round of applause and everything like that. But that was like the first thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I got to fast forward a little bit now and just ask you. So now you've been in the league. This is your 5th year in the league. 6th year in the league.
6th.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. This is your 6th year in the league. And so you have proven not only that you can be a kamikaze pilot, okay, but you've also proven that you could be an all-around running back. And, I remember after 2019, you had, I think, and I'm going to miss this a little bit, but you had 92 catches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have 92 catches that year, and you've got like 1,500 yards rushing, receiving. You have one of the best years as a running back in the league. And I just wonder, after after that year, when you have that year, you get a new contract, you've sort of arrived, but do you ever find yourself looking back and just thinking to yourself how narrow it is, and how like you might not have made it, and yet you laid everything on the line and you actually did make it?
You know, I don't think I look back. I don't think I really look back until people ask me. And that's where I really reminisce and really try to understand and help people by telling that story, telling moments of that story, or like philosophies of that story that helped me get through that moment. Those are the times that I look back. And that's where I try to plant seeds and try to help other people, through the things that I've been through, as far as just being a long shot and trying to really fully commit myself to something that I was really passionate about and saw as a big opportunity. And so those are the real times I look back to reminisce, because I'm still trying to push the bar. I want to see how far I can push this thing, how long I can play, how good can I be? Because I wasn't even expecting to be here. I wasn't even trying to go to the NFL. Like I had it planned out. Peter, I was gonna go to business school. I got my business degree. I had an internship with a company called Noble Energy. I was gonna go work for them. I was gonna start getting into real estate and house hacking. And then all of a sudden this football thing presented itself and was like, hey, try this. And I was like, okay, I went that direction. So for me, like, I'm just like, how far can I go? And then it spills over into everything else. It spills over in all the, like, how far can I take these opportunities that are presented to me on my plate? And football is still my biggest one. And I'm still trying to push that thing as far as I can.
One last thing. You have a foundation.
Yeah.
And I always think it's interesting when I see what people put their emphasis on when they have either a foundation or a cause. And you founded the Austin Ekeler Foundation to help people who you would look in the mirror and see them and think that they could see you. Explain why you did it and what your foundation really is about.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're bringing it up, because it's right on cue with what we're talking about. My life, as I said, was looking for opportunities and trying to take advantage of those. And I was presented those by, having success, and continue to take advantage in one after another. But to get that going, you need to have an opportunity first, right? You need to have that. And so with the Austin Ekeler Foundation, what we're doing is going into communities and putting resources in that are lacking in certain communities. I'm talking basic needs for people to get their opportunities started. My favorite project still to this day was up in Watts, California, where, we have, students that their parents or their caretakers are in the low income housing, living out of cars. They don't have washers and dryers. So we found out one of the number 2 reasons they're not coming to school is they don't have clean clothes. So what do? With Austin, we have resources. We went and put washers and dryers in their schools for them, so they can come to school, they can do their laundry, and they can also feel normal, right? They get their life started. We've built gyms. We're actually looking at building another weight room. I think that's a perfect place to have opportunities, because people might see it as just a weight room, but what it really is a character builder. If you're in the weight room, you're learning how to be mentally tough, physically tough, work as a team, push yourself, all these things that can be applied to other things. So building, weight rooms, putting resources like clothing, school supplies, all those things, just equipment back into the community that is lacking, so that people can use that to get themselves going. So that's what we're doing with the Austin Ekeler Foundation. It's really a wake behind what I've done in my upbringing, right? And how I've been able to, get myself going on a right track and continue to push forward, trying to help other people get themselves started and do the same.
Pretty cool. Very cool.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, I want you, when you get off this right now, I want you to go to bed and get some sleep, because you got a big game on Thursday, and you've got to be ready for this game. Okay.
Every game. But yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Hey, listen, thanks a million. I really appreciate you taking the time, especially in such a time pressured week.
Yeah, no, always a pleasure, Peter. Whenever you want me on, man, I'm here.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.